Hello, dear friends. So we continue to read this book. This is how it looks. Quite a small book. Isopanishad is a supreme Upanishad, the essence of all the Vedas, all the knowledge included in it. And as a rule, it talks about the eternity, the knowledge, and that there are some items like knowledge and eternity and bliss, and none of these categories can be measured. They're going way beyond. There are main 108 Upanishad, and Isopanishad is considered to be the supreme Upanishad because it talks about the personality of Godhead, the hidden aspect of the Lord. It's hard to find some direct mentioning of the Lord in Vedas. And the reason for that is the soul usually tries to identify itself as a body, and while it is placed in a material body, it takes these categories. So, if you're preaching about the Lord directly, you make a mistake. There is an etiquette, and first you need to talk about the structure of the world, what is soul, what is spirit, what is the body, what is the difference between it. So there's a huge philosophy layer is hidden behind it. And with the time, we start to understand that there is a presence of some super intelligence behind everything that is going on. And the first mantra of this Upanishad is talking about Om Purnamidam Purnam, that about the wholeness of the whole world. We've covered already 10 mantras with the commentaries by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. He's the founder Acharya, not a usual sage. Even among the sages, there are some gradations, and those who are standing higher than those sages are Mahatmas, and even higher we find the Messiahs or professors. Some people are dealing with this preaching movement by investing some money into it, putting some powers into it. But there's a huge hierarchy among demons and sages as well. Even among the people, there is a huge variety. And talking about Srila Prabhupada, we need to say that he is outstanding. He stands out of all of them, because he is revealing these secrets of the relationship between the Lord and the soul, and in order to do it, you need to be on the transcendental level. So Srila Prabhupada, he distributed the knowledge about the Supreme, and he made commentaries to Isopanishad. And the main thing you need to understand is the commentary, because those the Vedas, they're hidden. The meaning is hidden. It's hard to understand it. And the scientists, they cannot understand it because, to do it, you need to change your life absolutely. You need to start practicing yoga, and you need to absolutely change the style of your life in order to grab the meaning of these sutras or shlokas. These mantras are able to tame the mind of a person. Let's say a person is proud and he tries to become someone. And if we try to discuss the structure of the universe, this cosmos, what elements are there, and what powers are hidden there, and how many living entities are there, and try to count the planets and stars, then how are we going to squeeze the pride of a human into these categories? Immediately you see yourself a tiny little one. If one sees himself as a great personality, then it means he's covered by the layers of ignorance. And Isopanishad is giving us these categories. It tells us about the knowledge and ignorance and the levels of spirituality. There are three of them. There are Kanishka, Madhyam, and Uttama. Bhagavatam. Those who see this world with the material eyes, and with those who see this world with the eyes of spirit, of knowledge, and those who are in between. And materialistic vision is considered to be the one to be contaminated by false pride, false ego, by greed and lust and envy. And in this state of mind, living entity cannot see the things the way they are. It doesn't require a lot of time to read this book. It's pretty tiny. But in order to read it and understand it fully, if you read it and try to understand it, then it will change your life completely. Srila Prabhupada is giving us an example that there are so many stars in the skies, but they're useless compared to one moon giving the light at night, or the sun. And same thing with the person who is enlightened by this knowledge. One person would be enough to bring the light to the whole world. And this knowledge is given us not an entertainment, but some practical advices to utilize every day. The introduction is giving us everything, all the categories, and the first mantra is actually crashing down our understanding of our mindset of a proprietor. It says that everything belongs to God. Isha Vasya Idam Sarvam. Everything, we have to meditate on these words. Everything belongs to Him. Every single thing. Sarva means all. all belongs to God, even your money in your pocket, even your wife, or your husband, or your children, your house, and more than that, your body belongs to Him, and your bone system, and nervous system, and digestion system, your mind, your intelligence, are all His energies. But if He's a proprietor of everything, and all His bodies, all the bodies belong to Him, it means He's like retailer, or He's, we are renting these bodies from Him. There are so many different kinds of bodies, the animal body, and insect body, and human bodies, and so on. And these bodies are like cosmic homes, and the soul is getting through the elevation of the consciousness level. From life to life, it is going from the lower types of bodies into more advanced ones. And so we are like, we're getting these bodies for rent. And He is the one, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is providing us with the body. And for a while we are in this body, we're acting like we're the hosts. And the variety of feelings and things we can touch and think of, these are our limits and ages we're living in. Very narrow understanding, actually. And let's say we make this light brighter. We won't be able to see a thing. And light and darkness is just some things that they're accepted by us. If we close our eyes, it would be dark, like death. And just like the sun is considered to be, by the scientists, that it is limited, right? And it will die out with the time. But they don't understand who is the supporter of the sun. They don't understand who is fueling it. No one is supporting the sun in this world, but sun supports life in this world. And we think that the darkness is the eternal state of this universe. If sun dies out, then it means darkness is present here through the times and periods. And this way, discovering is kind of tell us that there's a limit to our life, and darkness is superior, and we get to fear our position in this world, and we have despair of living this world. But life goes on beyond our life. Our Isopanishad or Vedas giving us liberation, with its knowledge giving us liberation and enlighten us with this real knowledge. It's not easy to understand Isopanishad, and it will take years and sense control. And as we just said, the feelings are giving us false signals. It's imperfect. But what we need to do in order to understand it is to listen to Vedas. Because we won't be able otherwise to understand it. by our other feelings, our mind or something. We just need to perceive this knowledge through the hearing. It's not me who is the source of knowledge, or my feelings, or my mind. This is ignorance. We can't see the whole picture. We won't be able to grasp this nature by our mind and feelings. It is so limited. And for a human being living for few decades, there is a knowledge ready for him to be used. It was not even written before in the previous epochs. Nowadays, the memory is not so strong, and it is written down. So we need to understand we are not the source of the knowledge. And those scientists who make these discoveries of certain laws of nature, like gravity and stuff, but these laws have been there already, working, operating. And they're reaching certain limits in their investigations, like you get to the death and this is the final point and you can go beyond with your explorations. So the limitations for our body and mind is there. And death and birth, between this, we know something, what is allowed to us by our karma. And we are like prisoners. And Isopanishad is giving us the digestible knowledge. The knowledge is there, and everything is there. The only thing we need to do is to accept, to learn how to accept it. And what are the methods? We accept the spiritual master, and in this way we get the knowledge about everything. It's just like in the school. When I was in school, I was weak in math, and I would just peek into someone's copybook, and copy it, from him. And this way I would have a good mark. So what we need to do, we need to accept the authority of the, in order to get the knowledge. And when we say there is God, we think, what if I put my trust into this, the presence of God, and what if there is no God? And they're gonna just abuse me, or they're gonna use my faith, to exploit me. And, the guru, we cannot trust some person, right? But still, there is no other way out. The knowledge we can get only from Guru, and this is how we go further and develop our consciousness. If there is no other means, and I need to find some real spiritual master, real Guru, and religion, how can I be correct so I not make any mistakes? I need some real, not a fake religion. How do I start? I start with the self-realization. When I get to this point that I need a spiritual master, because not everyone needs it immediately, I need some level of sincerity. And I will be lied to if I'm not sincere. You will not be able to tell the lie or make believe in lies the person who is self-realized. if you're working on yourself, and if you're sincere, you will understand, I need a spiritual master in order to get some advancement. And it's just like living this life and having the life experience. The age is giving you knowledge, right? You cannot explain sexual relationship between man and woman to a child, to a small kid. But when he's grown up, these things are naturally understandable. And so when you have these questions, like whether it's the God or the soul, you need to tell yourself, wait a minute, I need to get into self-realization first. When I was in school, in elementary school, I was told that there is no such thing as the God. And everyone in this world has some defects, some faults. Every person, and this is natural, everyone has its faults. And I thought for a while that there are no pure people in this world, no sages. And I understood that it's impossible not to tell lies or not to get into conflicts and into fights. And I remember I always had some problems. And everyone would lie. I saw my parents lying, and my sister was lying, and I was lying, and my friends, and I understood that yes, this is true. There are no sages, no pure people, and I was just like that frog sitting in the well and measuring the whole world beyond the well by the place where I was. So, and if someone is going to tell me that the outside world is so huge, I would just say, no way. It can be more than like this well, or maybe 2 or 3 wells. This is tops. I have the experience. I know, but you're telling me that this knowledge is beyond my understanding. Then there is a problem with accepting this knowledge, right? But one is ready to realize himself, to study himself. Even the materialistic people, these materialistic guys, they try to understand its structure, the body structure or the gross body or fine body, subtle body structure, and they're trying to practice yoga, and by practicing it, they get something, and the military, they get into this, they study these superpowers, like the special forces they do. They go through some austerities. And scientists, they try to study this world around them. And more or less all the people are interested in self-realization. But this approach is leading us to the end, the finish line of that goes beyond life and death, and we have to conquer this path. The real Superman is beyond the influence of material modes. Someone offended you and you have no interest in life or in enthusiasm. If you're a Superman and if you training yourself, then you pay no attention to it whatsoever. Even when Jesus Christ, when he was crucified, he was still treating himself as he was going through this sacrifice for the people, for the sake of people. He was praying. He was saying like, those are innocent. And he's a Superman. So if we measure everything by this criteria, can we be forgetful? Can we be not forgetful, but can we give the forgiveness to the mistreaters? By accumulating mistakes in my life and by a lot of seeing a lot of misfortune in this life and being mistreated, people they need to learn how to forgive by the power of the Spirit. And one needs to learn to be able to serve everyone, and those messiahs, they're very easy to forgive. And those who are sincere can be accepted and be led to this perfect state. So the spiritual knowledge has been reflected in the religion of the world, many different approaches. But today we're reading from Isopanishad because it's very important to classify, to make classifications, not to merge all the confessions or religions. The idea is the same, but there would be different forms and details. It could be different from culture to culture, and depends on where the personality lives and what kind of habits the culture has. There would make some differences, but so I should say that the religion is one, and the knowledge is one, and the path is one. It's pure, unalloyed, devotional service to the God. And in order to do that, you need to understand who the God is. And by reading these shlokas, the knowledge is hidden there, but Srila Prabhupada's purport is revealing us the real meaning of it. So there was an introduction that I did, because some fresh man might be listening to us, and we're reading from mantra 11th. And there is a Sanskrit text. Vidyam chayas tat vedopayam saha avidyaya mrityum tirtva vidya mritam ashnute. Vidya mritam ashnute. Перевод. Translation. Only one who can learn the process of nescience and that of transcendental knowledge side by side can transcend the influence of repeated birth and death and enjoy the full blessings of immortality. The previous mantra was giving us the description of what was the knowledge and what was nescience. It was said that there is a culture of knowledge and culture of nescience, so-called knowledge. And it is worse to cultivate the nescience. When you're dealing with ignorance, it's obvious that it's better not to deal with it. the absence of knowledge. But if the ignorance is given to you in the way it looks like knowledge, then it's really dangerous. Just like dealing with the snake. You see a snake and you try to avoid it. But when you see a cobra, a snake, decorated with some diamonds, it's becoming attractive. You're trying to reach out and see it closer, but then you're in great danger. There are so many isms in this world, altruism and capitalism and communism, etc., etc. But we need to get beyond these isms towards the real knowledge. That is, even altruism is contaminated by some desires of the person engaged into it. How do we know that something is ignorance if it's so hidden by attractiveness? You'll get the understanding by the result, by the fruits. The knowledge path leads you to the liberation of the suffering. And nescience is leading you to suffering and hell. So, in order to get to hell, you choose the path of sense gratification, the meat eating, illicit sex, and intoxications, gambling. These are all very attractive. But and the intoxications is very much related to the holidays and festivals, right? And illicit sex is very much attractive. So the sinful activities leading the culture towards the degradation, and everyone knows it, so they kind of regulate it, and they say it's okay to do it on the special days, like special occasions, like holidays and stuff. But this is ignorance. It's very attractive, but it's ignorance. And there should be some scientists who should explain that if you abuse drugs and alcohol, it's gonna lead you to this state that you're gonna be devastated. And but there are some fine and subtle things you cannot see immediately. I know there are some good things out there, but I cannot choose it for myself. I cannot follow it or apply some moral principles in my life. Even though I was shown I need to do it, but I can't. I was told that you should stop criticizing others. You should not get into conflict with others. Control your feelings, but I can't. Forgive the one who is abusing you, but I can't. This is... I have no choice. It's just like I'm tied up. I know what's good and bad, but I cannot choose the good. This way, it is said that only one who can learn the process of nescience and that of transcendental knowledge side by side can transcend the influence of repeated birth and death and enjoy the full blessings of immortality. So then you can make the choice between these two. This is knowledge. You choose. This is how it works. We need to know both. If the nescience, ignorance, is attractive to me, I need to tell it, no, this is not my choice. This is my mind demand, my feelings demand, but I'm not this body. This will be my choice, and some determination is required there. Imagine yourself spending your whole life without a single cigarette. You would think, at least once I can. No. You live your life without these intoxications. You keep celibacy. And someone would say, there is no sense of living then. But this is when we choose our living condition, whether we are living in eternity or we live in this temporary life. The commentary. Since the creation of the material world, everyone has been trying to attain a permanent life. See, we're trying to become immortal. But the laws of nature are so cruel that no one has been able to avoid the hand of death. When people are saying you're trying to frighten us by talking about death, but we are not afraid of death. If you have spiritual knowledge, you will not be afraid of death. Those who have no spiritual knowledge, they are afraid of it. This is a reality. We should not be afraid of reality. We should be afraid of illusion. No one wants to die, nor does anyone want to become old or diseased. Again, they're trying to scare us. It would be better to talk about some positive things, something better. But they're talking about this. I can't even talk on these topics. The law of nature, however, does not allow anyone immunity from old age, disease, or death. Nor has the advancement of material knowledge solved these problems. Material science can discover the nuclear bomb to accelerate the process of death, but it cannot discover anything that can protect man from the cruel hands of old age, disease, and death. I've heard that the science nowadays is being pushed forward by the military forces. Because people are being afraid of this life, they're trying to protect themselves, and that's why they need the science. And this is why Srila Prabhupada is telling us that the coming death is spreading this kind of science. From the Puranas, we learn of the activities of Hiranyakashipu, a king who was very much advanced materially, wanting to conquer cruel death by his material acquisitions and the strength of his nescience. So nescience is like we put our forces into something. We know our body is mortal, but I still try to improve it. No, it's impossible. This is just your clothes you wear. And the soul is immortal. Why do we need this mortal body? Anyway, if there is for eternity, you will have to go to the toilet, washing it, dressing it up, feeding it. Why do you need this body for eternity? This is not good for us. There is a body, a spiritual body. It's always clean. You don't need to wash it. You don't need to take care of the money or furniture or property. You don't need to work so hard bringing up your children, going through conflicts. There is another way of existence. Why do they need this body? Why do they struggling for it? Once they've shown one person from China, he was like 250 years old or something. and he was very old. And his biography was given there. And he was married for 20 years. He was married 20 times because his wife's been dying, and he doesn't look well, attractive. And I wouldn't like to live this long in this body, in this old body. If you want to live eternal, you need another kind of a body, not this kind of body. So he underwent a type of meditation so severe that the inhabitants of all the planetary systems became disturbed by his mystic powers. He forced the creator of the universe, the demigod Brahma, to come down to him. He then asked Brahma for the benediction of becoming Amar, by which one does not die. Brahma said that he could not award the benediction because even he, the material creator who rules all planets, is not Amar. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 8.17, Brahma lives a long time, but that does not mean he is immortal. Hiranya means gold, and Kashipu means soft bed. This cunning gentleman, Hiranyakashipu, was interested in these two things, money and women, and he wanted to enjoy them by becoming immortal. You see, this is why you want to be immortal. You want to get, if you're immortal, you will get so much money. He was asking Brahma for many benedictions. He asked from Brahma many benedictions in hope of directly fulfilling his desire to become immortal. Since Brahma told him that he could not grant the gift of immortality, Hiranyakashipu requested that he not to be killed by any man, animal, god, or any other living being within the 8,400,000 species. He also asked that he not die on land, in the air or water, or by any weapon. In this way, Hiranyakashipu foolishly thought these guarantees would save him from death. Ultimately, however, although Brahma granted him all these benedictions, he was killed by the personality of Godhead in the form of Nrisimha, the Lord's half-lion, half-man incarnation, and no weapon was used to kill him, for he was killed by the Lord's nails, nor was he killed on the land, in the air, or in the water, for he was killed on the lap of that wonderful living being, Nrisimha, who was beyond his conception. The whole point here is that even Hiranyakashipu, the most powerful of materialists, could not become deathless by his various plans. What then can be accomplished by the tiny Hiranyakashipus of today, whose plans are thwarted from moment to moment? So, Sri Isopanishad instructs us not to make one-sided attempts to win the struggle of existence. Everyone is struggling hard for existence, but the laws of material nature are so hard and fast that they do not allow anyone to surpass them. In order to attain a permanent life, one must be prepared to go back to Godhead. Oh, so there is a way out. There is an eternal life already. It means there is a spiritual world out there already, and it goes side by side with the material world. It is said that spiritual world is called Vaikunta, the place with no turbulences, no troubles, no suffering. And material world is called Kunkha, and they are both as an energy, the eternal, but material world is temporarily, functionally. The forms are temporary. You take the glue, you take the clay and make a pot, So its form is temporary. With the time, there are going to be cracks on it. But the clay remains, even if the pot is broken. It means the energy remains, but the form is temporary. And if you take the body of man, it would be the same. It is made of the same elements. It's temporary, and when it's dying, the energy goes beyond the existence of the body. So we take these two worlds, the spiritual world, eternal and constant, and material world, that is ever-changing world. And scientists, they understood that by analyzing the protons with the plus and minus, and when understanding that there's a plus and minus, they understood there's the opposite sides of energies. And by merging it together, the annihilation goes on. But Srila Prabhupada said the antimatter is a spirit. It's not another form of matter. And it's opposite. Sat asat, chit achit, anand near anand. One is unconscious energy, another one is conscious energy. One is not changing the forms, one is stable, another one is ever-changing. One is the source of suffering, another one is the source of happiness. So there is an understanding that there are some worlds of antimatter. Prabhupada said, yes, it exists. Those scientists and scholars, they understood in theory that it could exist if there are so many different kinds of energy out there. And Prabhupada was saying that by merging the matter and spirit, and the annihilation is there, but the only thing that annihilates, being annihilated, is matter. The body is being destroyed, material body is being destroyed. And the reason for this form, the body form, is the soul, and the reason for the destruction of this body is also the soul. The source of spirit. And the soul, it is interesting that it can become conditioned by ignorance.
Видно, что даже Хираньякашипу, да, Шри Ишопанишад советует нам отказаться от неуклюжих попыток.
The progress.
Процесс возвращения к Богу. Так, процесс возвращения к Богу. Предмет отдельной отрасли знания.
So, in order to attain a permanent life, one must be prepared to go back to Godhead. The process by which one goes back to Godhead is the different branch of knowledge, and it is to be learned from revealed Vedic scriptures such as the Upanishad, Vedanta Sutra, Bhagavad Gita, and Srimad Bhagavatam. To become happy in this life and attain a permanent blissful life after leaving this material body, one must study this sacred literature and obtain transcendental knowledge. The conditioned living being has forgotten his eternal relationship with God and has mistakenly accepted the temporary place of his birth as all in all. The Lord has kindly delivered the above-mentioned scriptures in India and other scriptures in other countries to remind the forgetful human being that his home is not here in this material world. The living being is a spiritual entity, and he can be happy only by returning to his spiritual home. So, this illusion is the problem. Forgetfulness is the problem. We need to remember From his kingdom, the personality of Godhead sends his bona fide servants to propagate this message by which one can return to Godhead, and sometimes the Lord comes himself to do this work. Since all living beings are his beloved sons, his parts and parcels, God is more sorry than we ourselves to see the sufferings we are constantly undergoing in this material condition. The miseries of this material world serve to indirectly remind us of our incompatibility with dead matter. Intelligent living entities generally take note of these reminders and engage themselves into the culture of vidya, or transcendental knowledge. Human life is the best opportunity for culture of spiritual knowledge, and a human being who does not take advantage of this opportunity is called a Naradama, the lowest of human beings. If I don't accept the knowledge, then I'm all in ignorance. And one can be learned. It's no problem. But another reason is that if someone is stubborn, then it's a problem. Both are called Naradhama. One is innocent because you're just in ignorance, and another one is rejecting the knowledge because they're stubborn. The path of avidya, or advancement of material knowledge for sense gratification, is the path of repeated birth and death. As he exists spiritually, the living entity has no birth or death. Birth and death apply to the outward covering of the spirit soul, the body. Death is compared to be taken off, and birth to the putting on of outward garments. Foolish human beings who are grossly absorbed in the culture of avidya and nescience do not mind these cruel processes. Enamored with the beauty of the illusory energy, they undergo the same miseries repeatedly and do not learn any lesson from the laws of nature. The commentary goes on and on. We're gonna split it into two classes, and we're gonna leave some time for the questions now. I will remind us reading the text again. Only one who can learn the process of nescience and that of transcendental knowledge side by side can transcend the influence of repeated birth and death and enjoy the full blessings of immortality. So, do we have questions? How altruism can be contaminated by the material interests? Altruism is a good intention of a man, but there's a snare, there's a trap. Why do they say that the road to hell is made of good intentions? And it's a question of knowledge. Altruists, they could be kind, but because they're placed in ignorance, they don't know what's the highest goal of life. What is the highest? Goal, and that's why they're making a mistake. Just like a country. The country is trying to protect its citizens, and by protecting them, they're providing with the salaries and money and social secure, everything. This is altruism, right? But what is the problem? The problem is in lack of knowledge. Not the activity is bad or good, but the intention should be pure. The altruist who is giving himself away to the people, sacrificing himself, he still wants to get some fame out of it. Like someone is saying, I'm doing this for people. I was doing it, and since they're not thanking me or appreciative, then I would rather stop doing it. The highest level of selflessness is when mother is taking care of her child. But in the end, I need to explain it. It's not that I am judgmental or something. Mother is still expecting her children to take care of her when she's old. And we need to understand this platform. Otherwise, we won't be able to go further. It's good to become an altruist. This is if you're charitable, this is very good. But you need to go beyond it. Why is it that only sages can have some good qualities? Sage, to be a sage, means to have good qualities. It's equal. You're asking why only gold can be gold. This is your question. The sage is a person of spiritual qualities. The gold has the qualities of the gold because it's gold. In the spiritual advancement on this path, can I fall back for a time? And how can I treat it when I fall down? Yes, it's this is how it goes. It's like a disease. You treat the disease. Sometimes the patient might say, "Doctor, I feel better, much better nowadays." And the doctor would say, no, you need to continue your process. Otherwise, the disease or illness might come back. So you need to take this regularly, stable, from the birth to your death. You spend one life sacrificing your life on it. Then you will get spiritual health. How is it possible to get to celibacy in a family life and do it step by step? Well, I'm not here to tell you about the celibacy, accepting celibacy in the married life. But if you're not married, and if you decide not to marry, it means you need to stay sober without going attending some prostitutes and whores. If you have the marriage, then you won't be able to have the celibacy 100% because you need children and everything. But the celibacy means if you're not using it for sense gratification, it will be a big obstacle on your spiritual path. Is it that only unalloyed devotional service stopping the birth and death circle? Yes, if you want to stop this, then you need to satisfy God in your life. So it means we can only drive pleasure only from spiritual. How do I stay in a comfort zone? How do I stay satisfied if my spiritual level is not that high? Of course, you're gonna feel the feelings demand and mind demand, and both for men and women. And this is a certain level of spiritual development. On a certain level, you will not be attracted by any of that because you're gonna be filled with the spirituality, and with this you're going to be filled with happiness, and only your spiritual practice would be enough. If someone saw Krishna and felt his unlimited love, should he live his life immediately, or should he stay and continue his duties? This is a material desire. There should not be, and your body will go away with the time, due time, and is going to be taken by death. If you have a desire to leave this body or to live in this body and keep it, both are Maya, illusion. You've been predicted a certain length of life. You can be useful to so many people in this world, helping them, but you're thinking about only yourself. That I want to, you think about yourself. And this is not spiritual advancement. How do I learn not to be critical or envious or proud? Oh, you need lots and lots of lifetimes of labor. Or you can spend this very lifetime to the spiritual practice. And devotional service is the most powerful practice. This is the highest, the perfection of yoga. If you take, for example, Ashtanga yoga or Jnana yoga, those people who are doing celibacy can follow it, and they have a superhuman determination. But if you are married, then you won't be able to practice Jnana yoga or Ashtanga yoga. It's not possible in a married life. You need to leave people and go to some kind of monastery. Just by seeing some people, ordinary people, you will be contaminated, your mind will be contaminated, and it will influence you, and it will be a big obstacle on your way. For Bhakti Yoga, it is not a problem to be married, because the practice is so powerful. You don't need to leave the society in this way. And this is what recommended for this age. Other thing we will not be able to practice it. We need to glorify the Lord, His name, His fame. His name is His fame. And Krishna is all attractive. This is His glory. Ram is the one who gives pleasure to everyone. This is quality. This is glorification. This is the beginning of the service. You see a personality with a positive attitude. And when all his transcendental qualities being revealed, you're starting to serve him, his wishes, because some respect and love are being developed in you towards this Supreme Being. And at the same time, nothing stops you from upbringing children and continue your professional duties. So that's why Bhakti yoga is so attractive nowadays and so effective. Who is a liberated soul? There are two types of liberated souls in this world. There are some spiritual masters who come from above, already liberated, just like Shukadeva Goswami or Panchatattva. Later I will tell you about this Panchatattva once. This is the level of liberation. But there are some entities who are coming up to this elevated state, to this liberated state. And who is considered to be liberated? For example, you got lost in the forest, and if it's a huge taiga, like in Siberia, you will die there easily. You get lost there and you die. I've lived there for some time. from time to time, those who would go picking mushrooms, they would just die there. A person is searching for a way out. He's just circulating the forest. With the time he gets tired and he goes in circles and he just leaving his body there. But if you get on the hill or on a tree or on the mountain, you're lucky because you will be able to see surroundings. With that height, you can see the way you need to go. This is the time you consider to be liberated. You are not there yet. You're not liberated yet, but you know where to go. You consider to be liberated this way. And you know we're safe now, even though you're still in taiga. If you know the directions and you walk into that direction, you are liberated in the meantime of your walk in that direction, you consider to be liberated. What is the correct way to reveal the love for God? The service for other living entities, is it love for God? Well, this is altruism. It's good to do it in the name of God. This is why it's called altruism. It's a good word. It's a good sacrifice when you help people. But in Bhagavad Gita, it is said, third chapter and fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it is said that sacrifices, there are of two kinds. One is in science, in knowledge, and another one is in ignorance. I might not know who the God is, and I make some good things. This is good, but this is ignorance. But there is another sacrifice which is better when you know what you're doing, when you have knowledge. Then your yagya, your altruism, it becomes spiritual. I know my relatives' body are not eternal. How do I prepare myself for this departure? You need to remember one formula. Think about it very closely. It's a secret one, but I will have to reveal it. Everyone dies. Think about it. Why do you think that your relatives only go away? You will die as well. My mother left, and she was telling me, I will die soon, I will die soon. But I told her, I will also die. And she looked at me and she got pacified. Because of the illusion, we think like this. If we are ready for your own death, you're ready to leave everything behind here or lose everything. If you're not ready for your death, then you're not ready for these losses. If one lives a bad life, and what about his afterlife? Is he taking the animal body or he goes to hell? Well, it's the same. Hellish condition of life is just like an animal living. Well, sometimes you take in the body of a cow, even though it's a good animal, but still you will be dumb and horny. Hell is punishment, but actually hell is constant suffering. Hellish condition of life means it has very very bad conditions. To become a pig or some animal is also to have a lot of sufferings. That's why it is called hellish conditioning. What is the best way, a technique to get rid of fear of illness? Well, I know the technique by chanting Mahamantra. It actually works really well. But your fear helps you to protect you from unhealthy life. On the contrary, phobia is destructive. So, in order not to have the phobia, you need to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra regularly, the way you hear it, and don't, without paying attention to any other sound but this transcendental vibration. With the time, your mind will be so much pacified. I feel like I'm losing my spiritual practice if I have the relationship, and I don't want to get married this way. But my relatives are pushing me towards marriage. Well, it's a way of life. Everyone has to have his family. Everyone has to be married or get married. This is a general rule. Let's explain it. If I know that there are some other ashrams, like brahmacharya ashrams, I can stay brahmacharini, or I can be renounced, take renounced order of life, like sannyas. Why do we say that it's better to stay in the family? The thing is, a man is a social entity. And even sannyasi, still lives in the social, he lives a social life because the whole world is a family for him. If you're lonely, if you have a big family, you are happy. But if you take care of a small family, you become pitiful. We need to learn this. If we don't learn it, we won't be able to take sannyas, the real sannyas. One has to be renounced of life, not because this world is bad, but because he is attracted to God. There should be a positive reason for it. If I say the world is bad, yes, everybody is saying it nowadays. But this is just only one side of a coin. But where are you going? You don't know. This is ignorance. It's not a renunciation. So, if you're not getting married, okay, but can you handle it? Can you stay active in a devotional service? Or it would bring you to some second thoughts, and you're gonna disturb people around you. You're gonna suffer if you feel lonely. That way you need a big family to take care of. Yes, it's an obstacle. It's like pressing the brakes. It's true. But at the same time, there are some rules and regulations. By the way, you invite some sages and some spiritual people into your house. And this way you get the advancement. I'm afraid of accepting the spiritual master. It's like on the one hand, what is the question again? After I've started to follow the 4 regulative principles and treat me more strict, I feel the psychological wear out. She wants to get initiation. She wants to accept a spiritual master. And whenever she tries to follow strictly the regulative principles, she feels weak. But we need to know more. What maybe she's like goes through some penalties that they're not supposed to be there. Why she's suffering? She should not be suffering if she's. It's the first time I hear that you practice Krishna consciousness and you become weak. This is the wrong thing. I think it's a mind problem. The 4 regulative principles, you don't need to take any more on yourself. Why do you need to say what are you trying to follow? Some austerities that is a huge burden to you. How do I feel God praying Him? Well, this question is in the process of taking a food. How do you feel stuffed? You have your stomach, right? Or you don't have it? And you have your tongue, right? When you take a food and you feel the taste. It is happening automatically if it's a prayer. If you don't feel it, then it's not a prayer. It's just your mind work, mind speculation. If I try to pretend that I feel some taste of the food on my tongue. Another example, the fridge. You put it in, you put it on, it works. You put it off, it doesn't. It means, the prayer means it should be connected with the source. If you put on the fridge and it doesn't work, it means there is no electricity. So if you pray and nothing happens, it means there is no energy of bhakti. If someone says, "Oh Lord, please give me some money. I provide you with this candle," but he gets no money. When I was entering the university, I went to church together with my wife because we wanted to enter the university and we wanted to protect ourselves. We wanted to give candle to the Lord. And I saw that there were so many students, the freshmen, were there doing the same. That was the Soviet times. But it doesn't mean that everyone entered the university. So when someone says, "Please listen here to me," and he's not addressing God in order to get some money, he's sincere. This is the prayer, and it will work. You address the Lord. This is your start of your prayer. You won't be able not to feel the Lord because He is everywhere. If there is a sun, the light is everywhere. But if you pretend your eyes are open, then you won't be able to see. So if you pretend, it's a problem. When I address Lord, the way I address Him is important. If you address Him, your Lord might be answering you and providing you with the money, but not, for you to be able to pay for something with this money. But the way you understood that there is a connection. Otherwise, you would say, "Oh, okay, now I have money, and you are my good partner. I will make my wishes coming more and more." If you address the Lord, you will always hear His answer. How do I understand if the soul of my relative has broken down the samsara circle? Oh, so you are worried about your relatives, not about your soul. There's a relative soul, there's Russian soul. You need to understand that this soul belongs to God. It's not your soul or your relative's soul. Of course, this soul was in the body of your relative. But this mentality is wrong. Well, how do we know that the soul went to God? Not directly. If you helped him with something when he was leaving the body, it could go in that direction. This is, yes, you directed him. Be sure that you directed him there. But if he just left as all people, it's there's nothing famous about it. If he accepted some prasadam, of course, honoring some prasadam, then he would have some chances. The hell is there for the subtle body. In the physical world, the question was about hell. And in the physical world, there are no such sufferings that physical body can stand as the hellish suffering. That's why there is a hell to make the soft body suffer. It is indestructible. And that way, there would be a hell in your mind. So it means it's an internal suffering. And the hell in your mind means there's an inflammation in your mind. And as a rule, such a person is committing suicide. How do I make my karmic friends devotees? Turn into a devotee? Or should I leave these ideas? No. You can spread your... You can spread the knowledge. You share the knowledge, and then it's up to them to decide. Do we still have more questions? Or in this auditorium, maybe? You've said that we need years and years, to understand Sri Isopanishad. Will there be such a moment when I say, yes, now I understand? Or with the time there would be like, now I know even less than before. And what do you want? I want to understand. Well, I think now you're already here, so it means you understood everything. Well, I'm here. I still need questions. I still have it. I know that there is a relationship and I need to serve.
Это означает, что знание еще не реализовано должным образом.
But I
Это
still have some nuances and questions.
То есть гьян
It
тебе
means
понятно.
you have the information, you have the jnana, but you don't have a practical experience.
Но оно еще не реализовано в твоей жизни.
It has not been realized in your life.
Вот и все.
That's the thing.
Теперь нужно реализовывать.
Now you need to realize it, to put it into practice.
Сначала мы реализовываем это в обществе преданных.
And in the beginning, we try to put it into practice among the devotees, and then we do it among the advanced devotees, and then we do it among the
Потом реализовываем на уровне
association of the devotees of higher level, and then the acharyas, if we grow. And then in the end, we put it into practice in the relationship with the Lord, Supreme Lord Himself. What level are you now? With the devotees. Well, if we try to avoid the mistakes, making the mistakes among the devotees, then we will go higher. We have the same mission, it doesn't change. The form of relationship will change and will develop. You will understand everything that your spiritual master is telling you. And Prabhupada was telling like this. And he was saying that there will be a time when you're going to sit next to the Lord Chaitanya. You're going to have association with him. Other questions?
Очередь. Кто у нас в очереди? Кто последний? Или он только один? Есть.
Oh, there's a line. You were mentioning us being in the forest. How do I find this tallest tree to realize this path?
Кто-то может залезть на вершину.
Someone can climb on the top or of the mountain or climb on the tree. It's not like everyone needs to go there, but he can tell, he can lead the rest. There is no need for everyone to get on the top, otherwise you're going to compete between each other. One is enough. The rest can listen to the one who's been on the top. Who is on the top. Otherwise, we're going to have this ultimate goal of reaching the top of the mountain, or the top of the tree, not the spiritual realization. Prabhupada is telling us that's enough. He's the one sitting on that tree. We can freely go now. Questions?
Нет вопросов, нет просады. Все.
Okay, no questions, no prasadam.
Ну давай, никого нет.
I read some of the Srila Prabhupada's books, and I fall asleep. I fall asleep, and some of the books I read by Prabhupada is more attractive and interesting to me.
Скукота, я понимаю.
I know, it's boring.
Там, где Прабхупада говорит, ты ученый негодяй, вот это...
When Prabhupada is saying that all the scientists are rascals, then yes, I'm very active then. I'm saying yes. These are the modes of material nature. Srila Prabhupada is talking to us through the modes of material nature, and he's utilizing it. And we are interested when it's on the same mode. So Prabhupada is it's just like breaking an ice. Everybody is staring when someone is breaking ice. So Prabhupada is like breaking ice for us. But when he goes beyond, it's like, it's boring. On every single page, he's telling us about the same thing. But when you develop your spiritual taste, you're going to treat it differently. It's just like the halava dish. And you eat it once, and in a while, they would say, oh, halava again, why? But if you develop this taste, you're going to be happy. Every Sunday you have halava. Halava is just very good. You don't say it like this, right? So it depends on the taste. Of course, to read Srila Prabhupada's books, you need some level of perception, some taste. But because we are chanting the holy names, we have some bit of taste. The taste of goodness is different from the taste of ignorance or passion. The spiritual taste is also different. Sometimes we want to mix it a little bit. We want to get a bit of passion and goodness. And this is our material habit. I'm waking up early, like 3 o'clock in the morning. I chanted 32 rounds and 64 on Ekadashi. And then I've listened to Bhagavatam in ecstasy, and then Kirtan and Prasadam, and then I go to sleep. A little bit of ignorance is also required, tired of practice. Well, some of the devotees are living like this. Just like Bhakti-Vaibhav Maharaj told me. He was giving a class somewhere, and devotees came. And he started to read, and then one of the brahmacharis came. He was very tall. He sat right in front of Maharaj, covering everyone behind him. He had this japamala, and he was in saffron, and he had the glasses, and he was a big guy. And he was staring at me like a mountain. And he started to fading away, chanting japa. And through the class, he was falling to sleep from time to time. And we were laughing, hearing it. It was very funny. This is a taste. Another taste. We need to have some funny stories as well. It's not like always Upanishad. We used to say Hare Krishna instead of thank you or hello. And the Western devotees were saying, you only want the Hare Krishna. You don't say hi or goodbye. It's not like it's forbidden. But when you say Hare Krishna, there should be a meaning to it. It's not like you're a machine. There should be a meaning. Then it means you have the taste. They say that real spiritual life begins with the initiation, after the initiation. But some of the devotees, they leave the society after initiation. This is when you start to follow 4 regulative principles and chant 16 rounds. Why does it happen? Is it a certain psychological state? There is a book called Life After Death, and This topic is just like that.
Очень похоже.
The life after initiation.
Не все преданные отдают
Not
себе
all the
отчет, что такое
devotees
инициация,
understand what initiation
даже
is,
получая инициацию.
even when
Можно
they
сказать, что
are
это в
getting
каком-то
it.
смысле материальная смерть.
And in some way, we can say that
Частично.
this is a
Мы не
material
умираем,
death.
конечно, тело
Of
остается.
course, we keep our body,
Но наш обет, образ
but
жизни
our
означает, что мы покончили с чем-то в этой
oath
жизни. Мы
means
убили
we
часть, вот
stopped,
эту греховную часть нашей жизни.
we killed the
Наши
sinful
желания, материальные
part of
чувства
our life,
мы отбросили.
and material desires
Это
were left
отчасти можно
behind.
почувствовать как смерть.
So it could be
Как некую потерю,
felt
если вы не отдавали отчет,
or
не
perceived
готовитесь правильно к
as
инициации.
going through death if we were not
Например,
understanding the initiation, if you were not
романтичные.
treating an
Ой,
initiation correctly.
яхта, необитаемые
Just
острова, все
like
хотят, знаете. Попробуйте. Вы
um,
столкнетесь там с серьезными проблемами.
everyone
Один
wants
молодой
to get
человек
on yacht
не так давно
and go to the inhabited
сел
island.
на яхту свою, там,
You
красивое
need to
райское
try it.
место,
It's not that easy.
стал
So
прыгать
one
с
guy,
яхты
he
в воду,
went
там,
to,
смотреть кораллы,
he got
морковь,
his
содовая
yacht
акула.
and he went to these
Игра
islands
другая.
and he started to dive.
Что случается с преданными, мы видим.
And he was
Не всеми.
bitten by a shark.
Получают инициацию.
So
После
what is
инициации
happening?
разводятся с мужем. Муж уходит.
It's like
Их вера
some
разрушается.
devotees,
Они не
they
готовы оказались к инициации.
are getting
А именно почему после
initiation.
инициации я же
And
карму
after
отдала
the
всю.
initiation, she
Муж
would
должен мне
get
любить, приносить
divorced.
деньги теперь. Все. Не должна
Her
болеть.
husband leaves her.
М.
And that would shake her
Значит,
so
карму не забрал,
hard
а я ему давал
that
обеты.
she's losing her faith.
Мошенничество, обеты взял.
And she thinks
Карму
everything
мне
was
оставил.
supposed to be okay. If I took the initiation, my guru was supposed to take my bad karma, right? So I would be living a happy life now. But I'm not. So it means that it doesn't work or what? Well, you shouldn't treat it that kind, that way. Anything can happen in your life. Just like there was a story about one bhakta, he was distributing a lot of books, and but then he had a tragical moment in his life. He was trying to get on board of a moving train, and he slipped, got under the train, and he lost his two legs, and he left the spiritual movement. He stopped practicing. He couldn't live anymore in this way. But look at my spiritual master and his health condition. And he's saying, Lord Chaitanya, you're so beautiful. Lord Chaitanya. This is initiation. This is an example, achar. We're taught by it. Don't stay materialistic. It's okay. Some people are not ready. After an initiation, they leave, but they can continue next time, next life. Your life is quick. Either you get some chances in this life or next life. It's better to continue if you've chosen this path. What are you worried about? We are reading from this knowledge. Everybody is warned at the initiation that your life might not be great improvements, material life. You will still have some sufferings. You will go through a lot of these tests. And when you get through all of it, then you will become a real Vaishnava. You can't become a Vaishnava of an easy, sweet life. We are in the ocean of material suffering. What are you thinking about? Is it a mercy of the Lord to have a stable faith and heart, firm, and keeping a strong sadhana? How do I get this mercy? Your faith depends on how you preach your mind, how you preach yourself. When we hear the preaching, our faith getting stronger. You need to learn how to preach yourself to become independent. You need to break the false arguments of your mind. Once on your class, you were saying that the mind is being controlled by the vibration, sound vibration. The Holy Scriptures are doing the same thing. Yes, it's just the same. It helps to control the mind. Okay, we're